Good day, everyone. Welcome to Virtual Concert Hall's live classical music channel. Music competitions seem to be some of the most heatedly debated topics in the community of musicians, music educators, young music students, and even the audience. We're connecting musicians and audience in real-time performances and panel discussions from around the globe. We have distinguished guests joining me today, and I'm Anna Ospinskaya, and I'm broadcasting to you from Washington, D.C. suburbs. These are members of Sound Espressivo Judges Panel. Sound Espressivo competition created by a community of musicians, music educators, and music managers with the purpose to make a difference for young musicians, for teachers, parents of music students. We want to empower musicians with new tools, enrich with new thinking, and new approaches, expand horizons of what's possible, what can work in modern world, and what can be a source of joy and success for contemporary today's performing artists. And today we are addressing some of the most challenging issues of music competitions, the judging. Our panel discussion is moderated by August Antonov. August, welcome. August is a pianist and he's joining me from France.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you. First time I'll be on the other side of this whole venture of Sound Espressivo. Usually I'm a guest, now I'm a moderator slash host, so it's a pleasure to be with you all.
Great pleasure to have you, and thank you for agreeing to moderate this very important topic for the discussion. And I just want to mention that August Antonov is also a member of the board of the Sound Espressivo competition and one of our veteran judges. And joining us today are Ansel Gerber, a cellist, and you're joining us from Austria, right?
Yes, I'm in Vienna, Austria, and thank you for having me here. It's wonderful to be part of the panel of judges.
It's an honor to have you. Thank you. And we have Pierre Budry, a guitarist, and you're joining from Canada, I believe.
Yes, it's great to see you. Thank you for
Great pleasure to Thank you for coming online. And Olivier Chasson, a guitarist, and you're joining us also from France, from Bordeaux, right?
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Great pleasure. And it's a really enjoyable moment for me. I can step off my podium of being a host and give the reins to August. August, the program is yours.
Thank you very much. It is a pleasure to have such a wonderful cast of musicians. We're all 4 professional musicians, and well, we're gonna discuss music competition, something which everyone wants to know and about, especially given the pandemic that we had. And now that we're back to business, everybody's ready to get started on this. So I'm going to launch a bit the discussion with a bit of a history question regarding music competitions. So the music competition scene has changed so much over the years, over the last 20 to 30 years. How do you all think these changes has affected judging of competitions? I don't know who wants to start with that one. Anyone? All right, launch yourself, don't be afraid.
All right, I think it's the music industry and also music competitions have changed so much over the past years. When I was a little kid listening to an international competition the first time, I think it was quite a different scene, because now with the internet one can reach a much bigger audience. And I think what's also wonderful is that students can play live online, so they don't necessarily have to travel, but also judging the competition will then be quite a mind shift for many judges, I think, because it's different to listen to the students or the participants online and not hearing them live. But now that the equipment has been so taken care of and so advanced that you can really hear a quality tone, that makes a big difference, because I think in the past it wasn't possible, but now with the new technology it makes a big difference, and so many judges can listen at the same time sitting at home to the participants, and I think it also opens a new area for discussion, obviously, because judges can communicate without having to travel and listen to the performances live. So I think that's quite wonderful that one can have that nowadays.
Anyone wants to jump in on what
Yeah.
Angel said? Go ahead, Pierre.
For sure, there's a huge change having a competition being virtual, because it opens to many people who wouldn't be able to travel. The cost, like, for example, people coming from China and things like that. So it's a wide opening, and so that's a big change. Concerning guitar, the level over the last 30 years has been really improving, incredibly improving, and there are so many guitarists studying in music school, and a lot. It's very popular in Eastern Europe, and so the level has been going up, and the competitions are less technical than they used to be, and so they making more places, making more place for music. So that's a big difference from, for example, 30 years ago, where it was just only technique that was important. We can see a difference now, because there's so many good players that have really good techniques and are really good musicians. And I think this, I really hope that guitarists will get in this competition, because I think it's a really, it's open to the world. And guitarists are a bit slow sometimes to react, but when they will start getting in, I don't know how many contestants will be there this year, but next year I'm sure there will be a lot of guitarists, because there are many around the globe.
So let me a bit it's a great start of the discussion. Let me just push a bit further on this question in a sense of how do you all think the changes in the music competition world has affected the judging itself, or do you think it hasn't had any effect on the judges?
Certainly, concerning standard competitions, I think the judges now are caring more about musicality than they used to, and because a lot of people, you get in a competition, and for example, you have 10 competitors and they all play perfect. So then the musical aspect has taken more importance. And concerning the virtual stage, I can't really know, because I never got into that, but I think sure it will make a lot of difference. And also concerning competitions where there's not only guitar, piano and other instruments, we are extremely disadvantaged, because we have less sound. And then there's no way the jury is not going to be influenced by a pianist coming after a guitarist who is playing 5 times louder. But with this competition, this is not there anymore, because everybody is smart. So there's not this disadvantage. So I think it's a fantastic occasion, better than ever for a guitarist. Because once I did a competition 20 years ago with other instruments, and I am sure that I and the harpsichordist, we were really put down, because we had less sound. And then the person who was coaching me, after she talked to the jury, and she said, in the future, guitar, harpsichord, they will be in a church instead of the same hall as the other ones. But then this issue now that competition is not there. We are mic'd, we have the full sound, and so it's really an opening, I think, for guitarists to come around the real music world. not to be only recognized in guitar competitions, but in a competition for all musicians, and showing that they are as good musicians as the other instrumentalists. So I think it's a great opportunity.
Anyone else? Anzo, Olivier?
Yeah, the I think the main novelty of the competition as a virtual one is that, as a paradox, you are closer to the competitor, and there is no limit, because they are from the competitor spirit, from his mentality. He is at home. He feels really certainly much more comfortable, and he will give his best from his house or from his own environment. That's sure that he not having to travel to expend any money, especially when coming from very far, because guitar is played all over the world. So it will increase the number of potential competitors. That's certainly a very very good thing. But it will cut all the barriers, from between the competitor and the public and the judges. I think it's something which is very special. I was wondering how it could work, in fact. But in fact, I think it's a genial idea and concept, because of the fact that you are very close to each other, that you don't need to travel, so you will feel more comfortable, because you will be really yourself at your house or where among your own environment, and there will be less trouble than ever, and that's something more important than even the social point of view, for people not being able to spend to expend a lot of money traveling and renting a room in a hotel or whatever. But psychologically speaking, I think it's much more comfortable for everybody, in fact, because at that point, music is the only thing you have to take care of.
Yeah, yeah. Let me, so we talked about this a bit, and as you all know, the Sound Espressivo competition is an online competition. So what I would like to do right now is show you a clip from last year's competition, and then we can discuss after the first clip. So if we can have Scarlett Chen clip, would be great. Thank you. Ah,
Come on.
wow, wow, impressive, impressive. It's very impressive. Where are you from?
I'm from the U.S.
Yeah, but which state, which city?
Los Angeles, California.
Los Angeles. No, it's a great piece. It's a wonderful choice, especially given the period outgoing right now in the U.S., with the Black Lives Matter and such. So definitely great choice. I personally never heard it before, so it was a pleasure to hear it and pleasure to actually hear you play it. So very well done. Thank you. Okay, so that was the first clip. I do hope. So obviously I'm a judge for the competition. I do hope that the following clips we're gonna watch are not having me comment on each one of them either. But anyway, let's talk about this experience. I believe the three of you are seeing this for the first time. What is your reaction?
My reaction is just, if I may,
Yeah.
just realize that it's a free choice program. It looks like.
It is. Yes.
Okay, so the choose of a program is very important to have an idea of the spirit and the world of a competitor, of a musician. So that's a very important point to my opinion, because very often when you are competing with the same pieces, and so there is a spirit of comparison, which can be really terrible. I mean, bad sometimes, because music is not fight. It's not. It's the contrary. So it's share. Just we share something. We share music. We share art. So it includes that you have more responsibility by choosing your own program than having been imposed a program that with which you are not very comfortable. Sometimes. So I think it's a very unique point among the competitions I have in mind. That's very nice.
Yes, if I may say also, I think it's wonderful that one can choose the program yourself and also focus on your own strengths, so that you don't just play because you have to play this or that piece, but that you can really focus on your strengths and also project what your best aspects are to the audience and share that love for that specific work with the audience. And I think that's wonderful, not to be too restricted with time or choice of program, and that it's also so free in this competition, that there are so many different categories that you may enter for, and that you can, it's so big, and the variety is really large, so you can really, it caters for so many different aspects of an artist, and many different types of people can also enter for this competition. And I think that makes it wonderful, because sometimes there are different students, also teachers have different students, and it's so wonderful that they don't always have to compete with the same works or with the same styles, where they can really choose the piece that they prefer to play, and that they are free to play that as their choice.
Let me, and Pierre, you can jump in as well on this, obviously. As you all noticed, we give the comments live. We don't announce the decisions, obviously, but we just make comments right away about the performer. What is your take on that compared to the, I'm gonna say, the old/usual style of competitions, where you play, you hear nothing from the judges until the end, until the final result. If you even hear from them, you normally see the results on a piece of paper, pass, yes, no, yes. What's your take on that?
I think it's very interesting. There's more interaction, direct interaction, and I think that's very important. You feel, in a way, even if the performance is finished, you still feel less isolated. That there's a direct communication, and it's a very nice concept. I think it's very good. And also, just to come back to the other question, yes, I think it's really, that's one, it's the first thing I saw, the fully repertoire in the Sound Espressivo competition, and I really liked it because then it's really an occasion to make your musical personality really come out with the right choice of pieces. And also just to mention about guitar competitions, playing the same pieces that are obligatory can become really a problem, because I've seen many competitions where they go and they dig composition that never were played. So they're sure that everybody has to learn it. But the problem is very often is when these compositions, if they were never played, it's because they're not worth playing. And then if you keep doing these competitions on and on, you end up with a repertoire that you never like to play, and that is not interesting for the public. So it's a really it can be a bit vicious. So it's much better than play everything you like, the most possible, and then you at the same time you do the competitions and you build your repertoire. So you're going to play the same piece after because you like them. So that's very, very important. But not all guitar competitions are like that. Very often there's one or two pieces compulsory, and then people choose their own repertoire. So it's, but still I was really struck by this form with Sound Espressivo of free choice.
Enzo? Olivier?
Yes, just to come back to that to the comments that you receive right after you've played, I think it's so important because so many competitions, also when I was still playing a lot of competitions, you don't get the results straight away. And sometimes some of the competitors leave a competition, also some of the students sometimes, and they feel so devastated because they don't know why they were not chosen to go through to the next round. And sometimes also when they go through, they don't know actually what made them go through, or what aspects the judges really thought were beautiful in their playing. And I think it's so much more meaningful, and to have that direct interaction straight away after you've performed, to also feel the result also from the audience, and to almost be able to capture that moment as a special moment, and not just play and you don't really know how it was or what was the good things also that you can take from that performance. And I think if you get the feedback straight away, it just makes so much more sense for the competitor to almost grasp what they can learn also from that experience, and to learn from the good things and maybe some things that they can better for the next time. So I think it's a very good learning experience also, and not just playing without getting any feedback on what you could do maybe better for next time and what you've done great for that time,
So yeah, that's absolutely why I think many of us love to participate in this competition as judges and participants. We're gonna continue the discussion, but before that, let's have another clip from last year. If we could have clip number 2, Artem Kopilov, please. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
yes.
Okay. Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, I guess I'll get started this. Artem, first of all, nice to meet you. Let me just ask you quickly for our information. Where are you from in the United States? In Canada. In Canada. Where are you from in Canada?
I'm from Toronto.
Are you going to one of the prep schools? You're breaking. I'm not here. We're not hearing you.
1 second, sorry. Yeah, I'm based in Toronto. No, I don't attend any of the prep schools because, frankly, they're quite expensive here. So
Okay. Okay.
I just
Uh,
attend private lessons. We now have our own private school that we built up.
no,
And
that's
we,
great. Just for our information. All right, I will get started first with one general comment for every single piece. One general comment. One. Um, Try to keep your back straight, more straight. Um, and I don't mean that in any derogatory fashion, but when I'm looking at you, it makes me think of Glenn Gould in a bit of a fashion. So try to keep your back more straight. It's gonna help you playing. It's gonna help your power. It's gonna be quadrupled just by your posture. So that's a general comment. All right, we're back. So, comments, reaction to this interaction with the contestant. I don't think, as far as I recall from my years of doing competition, I don't think we ever have that in normal competitions, whether it's piano, cello, or guitar competition. There is not that immediate interaction, social interaction with the contestants. So, reactions?
I think it's really good because it's not only about trying to win a prize. I think it's more about learning something coming out from doing competitions. So then if you have the feedback from the judges and what you said about the position is very important. And I would do the same with guitar players. If I see somebody with a wrong left hand, not a wrong left hand position, but the type of thing that when you are 20, in the 20s, you can go around it and win competitions anyway. But when you get 35, then everything is falling apart. Then it's like giving a warning also that you have to be careful about this and that. And that doesn't happen too often in standard competitions unless you meet by any chance the competitor on the street after when you talk and then you have some suggestion to say, but that's really not it's really a plus. It's really a plus.
Yes. I also think it's a plus because some competitions even prohibit the participants to speak at all to any of the judges. And then sometimes it's not such a learning experience. And I think it's wonderful to get that immediate feedback and also to perhaps ask questions as a participant then, to ask some things or to communicate directly with the judges. I think that's wonderful.
Olivier?
Yeah, I think that usually a competition, when you have played, there is a big desert afterwards, you know? You never feel more alone at such times, you know? And here, it's even better than after the reaction of public during a concert. You know, we have a immediate feedback from the public because they applaud, you know, and they applaud sometimes very strongly, with enthusiasm, and that's good for your confidence in yourself, and so it creates a kind of proximity with the public, you know. But the judge in a ordinary competition, whatever the level of the competition, they oblige themselves to be completely mute, no reaction, and so that's why I was comparing your impression of a desert, you know, because everything is very dry and you have done your very best, as a matter of fact, and so when you have some musicians in front of you, actually the judges, but anyway they are musicians. So when they express themselves, what they really think about what you did, that's something very, very human, and it encourages sincerity from the judges too, because you cannot lie. When you applaud, when you are very enthusiastic, when you say, like August, wow, wow, several times, it says that you were enthusiastic. So if you had not voted for the guy afterwards, it should have been a nonsense. And how can I tell you? I think it's a question of proximity, and it's very encouraging for the competitors, but from us too, because we have the green light to be sincere, and we are not behind the screen, and we are not ghosts or whatever. We have a sensibility, and being capable, authorized to express it. I think it's so nice, so nice. It has to be a courageous attitude too, because you have to be sincere. So you have to take care of what you are going to say. If you speak too quickly, without any comparison with what you heard before or what you will be hearing afterwards. So, but they know that there is anyway still a spirit of comparison between competitors. So somebody may be very friendly and very impressive and very close to you, and the other one is very warm in his hands, but very, very dry because of his concentration or whatever. So maybe you can have an appreciation which might be different after having heard other competitors, But just like that, after each competitor giving a reaction, a personal reaction, I think it's and advices. I think it's a very nice point and something, wow, very different.
It is.
Yes, and I want to step in at this point, not to interrupt your wonderful discussion. This is really very enriching for me also to hear the perspective of the judges. I've never been part of this panel. I'm blocked from participating as an administrator of the competition. And I want to give our judges just a quick moment to take a sip of water while we're introducing some of the aspects of the competition. So please relax. There's more questions coming up.
Don't leave. We have many more questions and topics to discuss about the music competitions. Quite a bit, a huge list.
Yes, quite a bit. And some of them are very hot and very strongly debated in the musical community because, let's face it, there is a lot of things which are wrong with the music competitions, and I'm sure with the Sound Espressivo competition as well. But at least we are making an attempt and we're trying to bring some possible solutions and offer that to the attention of the teachers and musicians and young musicians and ourselves, and testing them and listening to the feedback, and of course looking to improve even further. So with that, we're going to take a quick break, but don't stay with us, please, because we're going to be providing you with some more further information about the specifics of the Sound Espressivo competition. See you back in a little bit.
No matter where you are or who you are, music connects us all. We started with a dream, but now we are paving the future. Welcome to the Sound Espressivo Global Competition. Fully virtual, yet bringing musicians closer together than ever before, now on a global scale. True live, inclusivity, diversity, connection, community, an extraordinary array of judges. Get noticed by companies all over the world. Prizes, scholarships, performance opportunities. Apply to be a part of the most exciting congregation of artists like nothing you've ever seen before. We guarantee quality and leave no musician behind. We can't wait to hear you on the virtual stage.
Well, we are back on the show. Okay. Um, we have a bit of a uh, technical issue, so we'll take care of it while I'm still on screen. But I hope you're all enjoying the show tonight. The subject of music competition is one uh, that is a hot topic in the business, whether it's in the performing world, judging world, you name it. We're all in the same world. So it's good to be back with all of the guests tonight: Olivier Chassin, Pierre Baudry, Ansel Gerber. It's a pleasure to have you all again here.
Thank you.
And we're going to continue this discussion with a common question that I'm guessing we all get as as judges from participants and others. What are in your opinion the most common challenges for judges, regardless whether the competition is online or in person? I know,
I
tough topic.
think
Many answers. Let's start the ball rolling. Even controversial answers will do the trick.
I think it's quite difficult sometimes for judges to compare the participants, and I think um, when a participant is really a true artist, sometimes they have something so unique and so special, and I think it's necessary for judges to see that and to recognize that and to appreciate that. And I think sometimes it's when there are many great students playing, I think it's very important also to allow for that uniqueness in a participant, and to also treasure that, and not to just go for the middle way where someone can play almost everything very well, but when there's something also unique and special in that performer, to give credit to that. And I think it's a challenge also when you are on a panel, because sometimes there are different almost tastes for different things, and some value more a certain style and prefer a certain style before another. But I think it's necessary to value the artistry of a participant, and I think usually that spark that a participant will have to communicate very directly and very authentically to the audience is very important. And I think if one can agree to value that, I think then the judges will also be able to share a common ground in that way.
I think pretty much in the same direction. I think one problem, I think really competitions are not about, shouldn't be about technique, because people that are just turning with technique, only thinking about technique, are really ruining the soul of music and the integrity of musicality. And also what's very important is the creativity. And what happens often is when somebody is really innovative and creative, it equals sometimes disturbing for the people who are expecting a usual way of interpretation. And very often what happens, and then the jury, there will be half of the jury will love the performance because it's so innovative, and the other one will be more traditional, and you won't like it as much. And then it happened a couple of times in my life. I had to really fight for that part, innovative and everything. And for example, when we use performance practice in Baroque music and things like that, and the techniques appropriate to the period and the style, in the 80s and 90s, people were not used to that. And so when somebody would come and, for example, play the chaconne in a totally different way, not using Segovia transcription, and they could be really wiped out of the competition because people will say, hey, you can't do that. You're supposed to follow a tradition. So I think really talent, innovation, creativity equals disturbing tradition because people are creative. They're tired of hearing composition played always the same way. So there is a real strive to do things different, and that the jury will not always like that. So that's one issue. It's really to look for creativity and innovation, I think, in competitions, musical integrity.
Olivier?
I agree with Pierre. I think the most important is music, but if you don't have sometimes if you feel a certain fragility in expressing the music, because the technique may be not enough or whatever, little light. So you have to balance your point of view and your decision, depending on different criteria.
Yeah, criteria, yeah.
Yeah, I think music is first, but if the technique is not there, sometimes you can see if it is just because of a certain emotion in the spirit of and in the hands of the musician, or if there is not the emotion you are waiting for. I mean, sometimes you give your best, sometimes not, but sometimes also you are not at the level, emotionally speaking or artistically speaking. So technique is not everything, but it's a door. It's a pass, and it helps. So you have to be honest in front of the competitor that you are judging, appreciating, but you must have all these criteria in your mind when you make a decision, because sometimes you have the feeling that a competition. What is the most important for the judges is technique or perfection, or if it doesn't exist, okay. But anyway, so they are very demanding for that, more than musicality. I think you must be the most honest possible in front of you, but in front of the person who played, and I think both things are important: artistry and the aptitudes of expressing it. So sometimes the results are musically terrible because they are more judges are impressed by the technique or even if it is completely dry, but it's perfect, and so he's the winner. Or so it depends on the quality of the judges and the competition too. Not only the competitors.
And the judge always agree on technique. It's not a problem. It's not difficult to measure. But that musicality is a matter of taste, and then that's when problem. Because if you have people playing, that's the problem with competitions. And I can make an example with artistic skating in the Olympics, because I couldn't not see that they have the same problems. They have people, the one that have the best technical performance will come over because the jury, they don't agree on the artistic content. So it's split in half. But then for the technical part, they all agree. It's not difficult to measure. The technique is much easier to measure than the artistry. Actually, the artistry is not measurable. And that's one problem with competitions.
Enzo?
Well, I think it's always a matter of what the judges also see as the most important criteria. But I think it's important to also in this competition. I think for the Sound Espressivo competition, the participants have free choice over what they perform, and I think because they are allowed to choose their own almost best pieces that they would like to present, I think then the total package of that artistry is very important, and but also that you can almost see whether that person, the content of that musical understanding is there. And I think that for me, in my taste, is very important, that when you have a free choice, then that you really communicate, and that music communicates to the audience and to the judges or to whoever is listening. And obviously technique is a vehicle for the music, to carry the music forward, and obviously that must be in place, otherwise the quality will not be as good as it could be. And therefore I think it's always important as an artist, as a musician, that the music really speaks and that it communicates, but that the technique is perfect enough to carry that forward. Because if you just hear flaws in the technique, or then the music can't speak either. So for me, it's a complete package, and I would encourage participants to really, when they think of participating, that they will really see this as an opportunity to express something. It's called the Sound Espressivo competition. So I think the sound there must be something that you communicate. If that's not the case, then I think it's, we as musicians, we are not there to just play notes. The notes must be filled with emotion and with something that can communicate. And I think all music has that possibility, but it's for us as musicians to really find what we want to say with the music. And I think if that's the case, then I always go for the communication in the music first. And if one can communicate, then it can reach the heart and it can reach the mind of the listener. And I think that's what music is in the end about, not about just playing notes or empty things, it mustn't just be fast notes. For me, true virtuosity is also communicating, playing a lot of fast notes, but really saying something with that, and to express a lot in a short space of time, and not just to play fast but not feeling anything. So I think that's very important for me as an artist, to always communicate with the audience. It's not really a matter of what you're playing, but how you are playing that, how you express what you want to say with the music.
So, as you all know, music competitions, regardless of the instrument, are often target of criticism. Two of them on top of my head, and I'll put my big foot here down, is that two criticism is about honesty and some competitions being too political. What is your view on the issues and of music competitions nowadays? Regardless, be it the two criticism I mentioned and any other you can think of.
I think in the past I participated in competitions where I knew that some of the judges they were pulling strings to get their own students to the top so that they could have the prizes. But I think I think in this way, it's that now that we have this Espressivo competition, I think you are also not allowed to judge your own student, which is great. And I think it's very important to have fairness there and to try and have it as fair as possible, so that it's not about a country pushing students or a certain teacher, but that the students have the opportunity to perform. Sometimes I find it's good when no one knows who's performing or so, but I think there you lose that communication. For instance, if you do auditions or competitions where you are behind a screen and you play live, there are some benefits with that, because then you don't know who's playing, and the judges just go on what they hear. They can't criticize on the actual look or anything, or they don't know the person playing or who's playing. So that could be great, but I think it's as artists you need to communicate something, and therefore I think it's good that there's also this platform where participants can share their artistry with the audience, but the panel of judges must also, because it's also open, the discussion, you can't hide and say, this, and just mark a student down or a participant down. It's all open, and so I think it's a very fair system, although the judges also have their privacy to discuss things. I think it is more open and more clear, and also in such a way that if you don't judge your own student, that's also a good thing, I think, because then the other judges can also feel more free to really express or say what they would think about the performance.
Olivier, Pierre?
The question about politics in guitar competition, what I can see, of course, there's this thing about the teachers wanting the students, judging their students and making them, trying to have them win. But in guitar, what I've noticed is the fight between the guitar schools. And there were some, because for example, this South American technique, which is very special, I could really see at some times that some competitions were really giving prizes to people playing that type of technique. I'm not going to mention any competition, but I've seen this type of fighting between schools, and some competitions really doing in favor of a way of playing a guitar school. And also from institution to competition will always give prizes to people coming from a certain school. I've seen that, it was really obvious. But other than that, I don't think there's countries, things like that, I don't think so. I think it's really about fighting different schools.
Olivier?
Yes, what I think about performing in front of somebody else, is that there are several points which are very important. You can lie with your eyes, but not with your ears. And another thing is that the best technique is the one you cannot see anymore. That's what I say to my students, because they are constantly looking for a kind of show-off performing as if they were, beaten, by monsters, and you know what I mean, suffering so much, and so I think it's not necessary at all, and it says in a certain way exactly the same for the artistry and for the technique itself. When you are really an artist, you just observe it from the artist. He doesn't need to express his face or having his face expressful or whatever, or making big gestures, you know, to have a little effect, you know, or whatever. But I think you should not have in front of you somebody who try to keep you, you know, to keep you somewhere which is very far from authenticity, with you know, and a kind of sincerity and depth of musicality. Because sometimes when you just try to be how do you call that in English? When you try to please somebody, you know, you make some gestures. You are increasing your sentiments, the way you play, or you know, and so you are not yourself, and it is seeable, and that's a drama, because the people are just a kind of prisoners of themselves, you know, of their kind of show, and so they don't concentrate to the essential, which is music, you know. And sometimes you can observe in competitions some competitors who are taking a lot of care of their body, of their expressions, but not what is happening through their fingers, you know, or through their voice or whatever. So I think we have to go to the essential, and encouraging the competitors to be really themselves and not somebody else, and trying to be like at home. With no, it's not necessary when you're alone to be to have a kind of extraversion, you know. Sometimes it's really too much, and it looks like a circus, you know. And music is very far from that, and it's there. Some of them are really loud, you know, showing a suffer or extreme joy or ecstasis or whatever, and it's not necessary. And if technique is the best one, is no more seeable. That's the really, you have to focus on it, and it's very tough, because you know, you have to make big efforts for that. Not to show any efforts, you know. That's the first thing. But at the rival, when you express something, it must be pure. It must be pure, not damaged by gestures which are not necessary, or whatever, smiles or sorrows, or you know what I mean. So sometimes, because that's a problem of the show, you know. And music is not a show, not only. It's first just music.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And actually, we got the next question, which we have on the screen. What are the possible improvements and solutions for the competitions of nowadays? What can be done better? And I am not asking you to name any specific competitions. I'm not asking you to call anybody out. So no calling out people. Just your opinion. What can be done into the 21st century to possibly improve live competitions, in-person competitions?
Well, that's a big question, and because and that's why I brought the topic this morning about the pedagogy of preparing students for competitions. Because when you ask what's wrong about competitions, it's not the concept itself, it's the attitude of the competitors, the judge, and if you go back, the teachers. Because if the competitors have a wrong attitude, it comes from the teaching, from the teachers. that are, so it's like the starting point. And I think it's really about music, and I think the technique is, I think technique is freedom. You can say what you want. You are at ease. There are no problem. There are no, well, there always are some mistakes, and also the mistakes depend on, or you are good to hide them. If you make a mistake and you make a face, then it's not so good, and it's not good for the normal public, because they shouldn't know. They're not going to know anyway that you made a mistake. But the judge, they're going to know. But if you don't make a face and you make it go really nicely, then it can be okay, because it's almost impossible to play perfect in competitions, at least for guitar. And what I wanted to say before about technique, technique is freedom, and also there's a total misconception in the guitar world. I think playing fast is not a problem. I think the real problem about playing guitar, I'm talking specifically to the instrument, is the precision. All the notes coming out really clearly, the melody coming out, resonance with chords, sound technique, projection. These things are way harder than playing fast. Playing fast is like a show, and the judges, they like it, but playing very precisely, and like playing guitar is like being on a road full of bumps and holes, and then you go boom, 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 and then like open strings, they're coming out so much and they're so hard to control, and then very often the notes are not exactly the same volume on the guitar, so you have to control that, but that's much harder than playing fast, and the faster you play, the more you lose control of that, and the less there's music. And so I think the teachers, when they prepare students for competition, it's really important to say that it's about music, and the technique, I think, is freedom. And if they try to play fast and they lose all that musicality and everything, it's killing musical integrity. So I think that the pedagogy is very important, how the teachers are preparing the students. So then when they come to the competitions, they have a different attitude. Not all of them, but sometimes really the students have this attitude that hey, I'm going to play faster than you, and I'm going to win as raw as that. And so the starting point is the teaching is very important. Because if the teacher really, really, really wants the student to win, then they're going to take the shortcut, and they're going to make them play faster, because they know it works, it can work better. So all of this should change. That's my.
Well, and Enzo, what are you thinking about this? Because Pierre was talking about the open strings and all of that. It's the same for cello. You got open strings. You got. Oh, I hope I'm not making a fool out of myself. I'm not a cellist. I have no idea what I'm talking about as far as string players goes. But what?
No, I think it's very important to. Because usually sometimes competitions were open just for maybe strings or only cellists, and I also participated in competitions that were open to all instruments. And I think then it was sometimes a question of, wow, it's difficult sometimes to compare as a cellist to a violinist or to a pianist because of the repertoire that's different, and also at a different level sometimes. But I think if you really have integrity in your playing, that will always shine through to the judges, whether it's at whatever level you perform and whatever instrument you perform. So obviously when you have a wonderful player, you will hear the music come through, and you will feel that control over the technique as well, obviously, when they play. So I think it's interesting also that different competitions have also different sets of judges. For instance, this competition, we are different judges for the maybe for piano there are composers, there are conductors, there are maybe cellists also adjudicating a pianist, because I also play piano, and I feel it's sometimes a very interesting concept when you also have different musicians judging a specific instrument, so that you have also different viewpoints if you really hear the music and if that speaks through, because I think in the end that's what's important, and that always shines through, whether when I listen to a singer or when I listen to a pianist play, we all have that basic knowledge of what the music should be like, and a basic knowledge of technique, of different instruments, and I think then it gives it a broader perspective because I think if cellists only judge cellists, for instance, it could be a matter of taste, where that taste comes in. I like that technique more, or I prefer this technique, or I like that taste more. But I think if we are open to judge also other instruments, you really listen to the music, if that music speaks or not, and I think that's very important. And I think in the end,
it's great that you're bringing this point. Olivia, feel free to jump in as well. Do you all think that maybe one of the solutions on improving nowadays competitions is to have musicians judge contestants that don't play their own instruments, like for example, cellists judging a pianist or guitarists judging a singer? Would that be a solution on improving nowadays competitions?
I think there can be pros and cons, because I think you also need people that have a specific knowledge over an instrument. So it's not just that you can have no knowledge of that instrument at all, but I think it could be a good improvement not to just be more open. For instance, I think a conductor has a different viewpoint of listening to instrumentalists or to singers, for instance, how they express, how they communicate, and if they are clear in their way of thinking, of comprehending that piece of music, and really performing that with that precision as an artist. And I think it could be very good if we have, for instance, conductors on the panel when they have cello competitions or other competitions, for instance. And I think also perhaps composers, where to also have a different viewpoint. So I think there could be lots of pluses there, but I think to exclude the one or the other might not be the best result in the end.
Olivier?
I think that it should be very nice to have the luck of expressing oneself when you are not the specialist, I mean, of the instrument. But it's a question of proportions. You need some specialists, to my mind, but one or two between, I don't know, for example, 7 or 8 judges. It should be very nice, because it could be more refreshing. You know, sometimes when you judge a guitarist, when you are a guitarist, there are several schools, you know, for example, and you can be a little nervous about yours, and personally I'm not at all. But no, I have to tell that. And sometimes, as we are not in a big majority, you know, Pierre can confirm that, in front of the main part of the guitarists. So we have no complex. I don't have any complex, but I think which is important is the result, not the technique itself. And as I told you, the best technique is the one you cannot you cannot see anymore. For me, that's the best technique. And the show off is not necessary. Just let the show off backstage and just play music. And one instrumentist can certainly have a nice point of view being playing another instrument of the one he is or she is hearing, you know. I think it's not a problem, but one or two among the specialists, that it's a question of proportions of judges.
Yeah.
I think, seriously, because the technique of the instrument is so high now, and the I don't know what they eat now, but you know, it's incredible. I mean, the teenagers are really incredible. I'm serious.
We will make sure to ask them at this year's competition what they are eating to get their technique. We will make sure of that. We will specifically make sure to ask the guitarist about that question. But before we come back to this discussion, let's play one last clip from last year's competition. If we could have Mio Imai on the violin, please, that would be great.
Wow. Well, that's what it means to be virtuoso at the age group 10 and under. Oh my gosh. Not to the judges.
Fantastic. You know, what we all think, what we're all looking for in a musician is to feel your love of playing and your ability to communicate it to us. I mean, it just came right through the screen, and I just have to thank you for that. It's just absolutely lovely and lovely command, and congratulations on playing with the click track, and you did such a great job. I'm not going to say much. I'm going to leave it to the string players, but I just say keep going, keep developing musically. But I have only positive things to say. I'm really just so taken with your playing. So congratulations.
So this is the last clip we're gonna play tonight from last year's competition. Enzo, reaction.
I think it was wonderful, and it's great to also hear how young students have that command and that freedom to express themselves also with virtuoso pieces, and it was lovely to hear her play. And I think it's very important nowadays to also you can hear in the sound if someone feels what they are doing, or if they are just playing the note to play the note. So I think it's very important to be authentic in your playing and to really feel the music, what you're doing, and the emotion in the music, and to have that in the sound. You can hear it if the sound has that expression in, or if it's just a show off.
It's great that you mentioning that, because one of the questions that we have actually comes from our audience, is how can you tell if someone has authenticity in their playing?
I think it's very one can really hear if someone is just copying, like Mr. Slav Restrapovich once said that you know, sometimes you get students and you hear, oh, they've listened to that recording of Yo-Yo Ma, and then they added this little bit from Jacqueline Dupre, and then they're just copying it together. But you can feel it when it's not really their own understanding, when they don't really feel that emotion and they're just going through the ropes, if one can call it like that, because you can hear it in the sound and in their timing and also in their almost the way they say it. It's like when you look at someone and you say something and you feel it or you see it in the eyes, if that's true or not, or if they're just kind of just doing it or just making a show of it. So I think it's very clear. One can see that as a judge, and one can hear it in an artist. I think it's artistry is, it's, you are so open. You really feel that person's heart or that mind, and I think we as artists are very vulnerable there actually when you walk on a stage or when you perform, because you can hear what the person is thinking and feeling in their way that they play the instrument. And I think it's very special when one can hear that someone is really playing from the heart, and from the heart to the other person's heart and mind, and you hear it in the sound.
Pierre?
I agree with the emotions. It depends on the question, what you are asking really. If you're asking about ideas, the concept, everything that's abstract and everything, it comes from the teacher, and I think it's perfectly normal, because the teacher at that age is showing them their ideas about the music, and then they get into that, and then if they have some heart, if they have really emotion, then it's going to come through, like Enzo was saying. But the ideas, there's no way out. It comes from the teacher, unless you meet Mozart or somebody like that. It comes from the teacher, but that's normal. And then but that's also a very important part about pedagogy. At one point, they must have, you have to switch. And so at the high Hochschule level, conservatory level like Paris, there's no way you give your ideas, and they have to follow what you think. I think they really have to develop their own creativity. And so at a certain point, maybe 16, 15, then the student must start making their own ideas and not being told what they should do. And sometimes, if you look at the old traditional conservatory system, conservatoire in French means to preserve the teaching of the master. So you were supposed to imitate the master. That was the tradition. So that's another problem about pedagogy. But now it's changed a lot. But if you look at the old way of teaching, there were a lot of people that were really famous, and they would say, you play like I play, you have to do that. So I think at a certain age, I am totally opposite in my teaching. For that way, I really guide my students. I give them information. For example, performance practice, I tell them to listen to many records and to make their own idea. And then when they come with their own ideas, then I help them. And I help them to go deeper into and when they play the piece I play, I put the guitar away, because I like to play a lot when I teach. But when it's my pieces, that they are playing and they've been listening to, I put my guitar away and I say, you make your fingerings yourself, and they have to develop their own very quickly. But that girl at 10 years old, she needs a teacher to tell her to put the ideas together. It's normal.
Olivier?
To my mind, there are two kinds of authenticities. There is the one of the piece itself, the authenticity of the composer, and there is a certain subjectivity of the interpret in matter of authenticity. Mm-hmm. And so when the two ones are joining together, that's a complete authenticity. But sometimes the phrasing is not well observed, or I mean, objectively not, or a piano which is indicated becomes a fortissimo or whatever, and so you slide on the show off, or a certain kind of egotism, when you are not serving the music, but taking advantage of it to show yourself, more than the music itself. So I think the authenticity is seeable when it works with the music itself, when the composer is well understood, and when you are a good ambassador of the music, And sometimes you can hear some versions which are very far from what is required. I mean, basically, and sometimes it is probably very interesting, but it's not honest, in front of what you have to do, because your job is not only sublimate what you have to express, but just make the job. I mean, be the ambassador of the music itself, of the composer. And when you are authentic, to my mind, is when you are just behind him, not ahead.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to respond or about this? Asbel? Anzo, I'm sorry. Anzo,
No.
Pierre?
I think
No? Okay. Yeah.
It's okay
Go ahead.
for me.
Go ahead, Anzo.
Sorry, I thought you.
No, I think it's important that you are honest to what your own understanding is of something, and to project your own understanding also of that work. And sometimes, as a person develops, as we as musicians develop, we will grow in our understanding, or change our understanding of a certain work, because there are so many influences that will help us along the way to almost grow as a musician. And I think it's also important that you will present the music as you understand it at that specific time of your development, and not just copy something without understanding what you're actually saying through it. And I think that's part of authenticity. And also, if I listen to my own recordings or my own way, if I think of my career, how I performed something 10 years ago, or that I'm performing now, there are different viewpoints. And I think it's very necessary to be honest to what you understand at that point in time, and not just to copy for the sake of copying, but to express it the way you understand it. And I think if you're honest in that way, that's what authenticity for me is, in the real sense of the word.
It's very true what you're all saying. I mean, in piano, we see that a lot with Bach and Glengould. That's the common. You play Bach, you go listen to Glengould, and sometimes we end up with people sitting like Glengould. So it's kind of obvious. All right, let me ask you this question. It's going to be a bit of a controversial question, but we're going to address it. In the 21st century, right now, we have lots of TV competitions, The Voice, X Factor, and the likes. There is no classical music competition that I'm aware of similar to that. So, two questions. One, what do you all think of those TV competitions? What's your take? Do you even watch them? And second question is, do you all think the classical world needs that type of TV competition as well?
I personally don't think that classical music should be a show. And I think because it's a TV show, a lot of extra things happen, like with lighting and with almost to make it more like pop music. And I think as a classical musician, I think what's special about classical music is that it's presenting real art and not just having almost those top ups to make it popular for the broader audience. And I think that's important to preserve that, in a sense that it is something special. Although we can also perform online now with this wonderful platform that we have for the Sound Espressivo competition, I think it's important to preserve classical music or music as such, that it has that purity, not to have all those extras with costumes and lighting and animation kind of things, but that it's really as it is, and that people will still appreciate the purity of a live performance. It's not something with backtracks where you just it's a different style, it's a different culture, and in my opinion, I think we should preserve that, and it's not necessary to have a show of a classical competition. We have enough shows in life with on the other platforms, in my opinion. So that's my viewpoint of that.
Olivier?
I agree totally. I think it should be a drama to fall into such a disaster. We have a mission on Earth is elevating the South, not looking to our feet. And I believe that music has a purity by itself, and we have to just to serve it humbly and efficiently, and the efficiency will be completely out of tune if we are looking for different. If we focus on other purposes, I mean, for example, I don't know, you're looking or whatever. I don't care of my looking when I play. I try not to show any suffer too much, but as I was saying. But no, I'm kidding, but just a half, because when you show a certain pain or whatever, you are spoiling the music. You are disturbing the view of what you are doing, and of your playing, and of the music itself. So it damages the reception of the music, and from a heart to another heart, that Bach was saying.
Yeah.
The goal of music is that you have to give your heart to reach the heart of your next. So that's the purpose, I think. Music has doesn't care of lies and show-offs, and not at all. Not this music, not this one. I think the fact is that sometimes the music is so poor on the TV and elsewhere that they need to compensate the bad level of the music by a kind of how do you call that? A certain will of pleasing, of being attractive,
Yeah.
in your manners, or in the way you play or whatever. So you cannot lie like that. I think music, when you play Debussy or Bach or Mozart, they are angels. They are just angels, and you just need to be the best ambassador possible, and that's it. I mean, music speaks by itself.
Yeah.
sings by itself. That's it.
I agree with everything that was said, and if you're talking about this country has talent, and like America's got talent, Australia got talent, these type of shows, well, it's not the same audience at all. And I don't think you could reach so easily these people. And I think you must keep the formula like it is. I think it's wonderful. That's all I have to say.
Don't, we all know that classical music tends to sometimes lose audience because of age and so forth. Do you all think maybe that doing something like the X Factor would maybe help with getting more audience in the halls, in the concert halls? Yes, no,
No,
maybe.
the public doesn't come for that. I don't think that this is the purpose of the public itself, you know. To my mind, I think they come to hear music and they don't care of what is around it, you know. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I have this hope that they just come for music itself, but not show off or what something, you know,
Oh, I
which
hear
might
you,
be
hear you.
beside.
Okay, okay. Let me ask you this. So we're going back to the Sound Espressivo subject. I'm not sure if you guys looked on the. I'm sure you guys looked on the artistic awards and all of that. What is your take on all of those artistic awards? Normal competitions, traditional competitions have just a limited amount of awards, prizes. The Sound Espressivo has quite a few prizes, quite a few awards based on programming, what type of programming the contestant presents. What's your take on all of that?
I
think
think
it's
it's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think it gives a lot of credit also to people who are thinking out of the box, who want to do something new, want to do something creative. And I think it's wonderful to encourage participants also to present new ideas and new creativity in their performances. And I think the prizes are also wonderful because it gives a lot of opportunity to have learning experience, performance experience, and some really creative ideas also actually for example, to have a website designed or have a CD recorded, or there are really wonderful prizes and also master classes that they can attend, and it's really, I think, a lot of learning experiences that they can also gain from this, from participating and from winning prizes, and it's recognition also for their work and their artistry, also in many different categories. So I think it's really wonderful that there's such a broad spectrum of prizes, and also that they can have those opportunities. That's usually not so often that one can find that in a competition where you can win such prizes. So I think it's wonderful for participants to be able to participate for such prizes.
Olivier,
Yeah.
comments on the awards, on the prizes that Sound Espressivo is is awarding?
Yeah, I think it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful, and the best award is from the beginning to be to have the possibility to express yourself, you know, oneself in front of such a big audience, and with no frontiers, no limits, and you know it's already a very big challenge for somebody from his house, from his bedroom or whatever, or living room. Be herself, be himself, and play in front of such an audience, and in such a spirit, because I think it's the Sound Espressivo ethic is special. Is very nice because it is a kind of how could I say? Um, it's very positive. It's a positive attitude in front of an artist, you know, with no judgment, bad judgment, but uh, some 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 attitudes which show that there is a respect, there is the possibility of being impressed. You know, sometimes the judges are they have seen such many situations that they are no more surprised, you know, and so there is a kind of saturation, you know, and so I think that's that's the worst which can arrive, you know, is saturation, and just when you are, how do you call that in English? Lassitude.
Bored.
Yeah.
Bored. Yeah. I
Yeah,
get you.
something
I
like
get
that.
you. Yeah.
I think the judges, as they are just enthusiastic and a very good public, you know, basically,
Yeah.
and it's very encouraging for the competitors to be appreciated and welcome with this spirit and with this quality of listening, of you know. I think it's a luck because sometimes you have traveled on the other side of the lake of the world of whatever and wherever, and you are in a desert sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important for the artist, the young artist, to have this opportunity to be well received, well welcome, and encouraged, you know, also, and motivated for the next day and for the next year, for the next piece of music, and you know, it's such a challenge, you know, to be an artist today.
Yeah, it is absolutely.
Because you know,
Pierre?
yeah, sometimes
Sorry, guy.
there's just a kind of search of not quality but quantity, or you know, so that's not the purpose here. I think that's great luck for artists.
Absolutely. Pierre, what's your take on the prizes and awards that were given?
They are incredible, and it's and very original, and not traditional prizes, and it's a continuation of what happened before the competition. It's not like you come home with your prize and you have a couple of concerts, and it's just something really happening after that's new. So you don't know what will happen really. It's new, this TV concert, having concerts in different countries, the web design, orchestra direction. If I was younger, I would really, no question.
Well, you know, I think
it's
I
really
think
something to it's. I cannot understand that people are not. If people are not interested in doing that competition, I cannot understand.
well, I think I think the board of the competition, the administrators are all gonna be happy of all the comments you guys made, and we're gonna wrap this up today for this discussion. We could go on for hours and hours. It's competitions are a deep subject, a controversial subject, quite a bit sometimes, but we're gonna wrap it for tonight. I appreciate you all for being here with us tonight. Pierre, pleasure. Enzo, it's a pleasure to meet you and to see you all here.
Too.
Olivier, pleasure to finally meet you after so many years being in the same building as you in Bordeaux and never never
It's-
even playing for you or anything.
It's
so
incredible.
it's incredible. Exactly. But it's absolutely a pleasure to have you all on the judging committees. I'm looking forward to seeing you all for the semifinals and finals. And thank you again for joining us. For our listeners, just note that the deadline for the sign up for the competition is November 30, 2021. After that date, there are no more sign-ups. So I think now would be the time for you to get up and go practice and sign up for the competition. So with that said, thank you again to all three of you. It was a pleasure, and I hope the audience enjoyed this exchange. Looking forward to seeing you all in a couple of months. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Great joy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
No matter where you are or who you are, music connects us all. We started with a dream, but now we are paving the future. Welcome to the Sound Espressivo Global Competition. Fully virtual, yet bringing musicians closer together than ever before, now on a global scale. True live, inclusivity, diversity, connection, community, an extraordinary array of judges. Get noticed by companies all over the world. Prizes, scholarships, performance opportunities. Apply to be a part of the most exciting congregation of artists like nothing you've ever seen before. We guarantee quality and leave no musician behind. We can't wait to hear you on the virtual stage.